Sahana Bhavatu, Sahano Punaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahe, Tejasvinavadidamastu, Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. Have you ever looked around and felt as though everyone else's life was moving forward except yours? Perhaps someone has built the successful business, found the loving relationship, written the book, or reached some incredible milestone, and meanwhile, you find yourself wondering, am I behind? Today, I want to offer another perspective because I don't believe we are all meant to follow the same timeline, and I don't believe that life unfolds according to one single schedule. This is for the person who is suffering with that notion, am I behind? Namaste and welcome to the Spiritual Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra Savitri Amba, Director of the American Reiki Academy and the Vedic Healing Center. I'm a Reiki Master, Vedic Healing Master, spiritual guide, and teacher with more than 35 years of experience in healing, spiritual self-development, and sacred traditions from India. In this podcast, we explore Reiki, Vedic healing, manifestation, spiritual growth, intuition, sacred living, and the wisdom that helps us awaken our spiritual power and ultimately fulfill our unique divine destiny. So one of the greatest sources of suffering I think we experience is comparison. We compare ourselves to people we may barely know, to neighbors, to strangers we meet, to people in the grocery store. It's kind of crazy. We compare our beginnings to someone else's middle or maybe more than middle parts of their lives. We compare our private struggles to someone else's very public victories. And what happens is, over time, we start to believe we have fallen behind. But today I want to question this. Behind whom? According to whose timelines? According to whose definition of success? These are all important questions, and they come up a lot for me personally, of course, because I am a human being having this experience here, and also they come up when I do counseling with people and I hear all the sadness in people's voices, and I want to reach out and just do more Reiki on them and reassure them, because many of the timelines we use to measure ourselves were not ours to begin with. See, all around us, society is telling us that we should accomplish certain things by certain dates, by certain birthdays, that we should have a big family, or we should drive a certain car, or purchase a home, or build a business, or achieve some idea of success. And if we do not meet those expectations, which again, those expectations are somebody else's expectations, the collective idea of society's expectations, then notice I said we can begin to wonder if something is wrong. But spiritual life often, first of all, it unfolds very differently, and it asks us to question. So we can begin to wonder if something is wrong. That is a choice. We always have the choice to say instead, my life is perfectly and divinely guided. My life is being motivated by an internal force that is directing me and whispering to me. So sometimes you might find that the most important periods of your life were the ones that appeared maybe least productive, and I'm putting that in quotation marks, from the outside. So it could have been years you spent studying, practicing, sitting with teachers, learning, growing, healing, caring for others. It's not like you have been locked in a closet, but those years may not have looked impressive to other people. There was no applause, no great milestone that you can post about on your social media page, no obvious outward achievement. But looking back, we can say that those years were you building a foundation. They were shaping who you were becoming. And many spiritual traditions talk about this concept of divine timing. We use this concept in manifestation also, in metaphysical work when we're talking about manifestation. So divine timing does not mean sitting on the couch and doing nothing and expecting something to fall into your lap. But it also doesn't mean refusing to take action. It doesn't mean waiting for life to just start happening around you. I may have said this before in an episode. I spoke about a woman I knew who came to me who wanted to manifest a new job. And she said to me, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. I'm working all the time on this project. And I said, what are you doing exactly? And she said, well, I'm going to this coffee shop. I go there every day and I write in my journal. I write affirmations. I do this visualization work, and I just write about the job. So this is in one sense you could say this is her refusing to take action. In another sense you could say this is her doing inner work to prepare herself for manifesting that job. Now, it doesn't mean she never had to step into physical action to call someone or to put herself out there a little bit more. But so all of this idea about divine timing means honoring the process, recognizing that life and your life has its own intelligence. We talk about the phrase innate intelligence in the body. When we're doing Reiki, we're working with energy, and your body has an innate intelligence to know what it needs to do with that energy. So there is an unfolding. The difficulty comes in all the voices competing around us for attention, for wanting to be right. It's mostly other people wanting to validate themselves. Isn't it interesting? So if they can say, look at everything I've achieved, then they can feel validated. and a sort of a sense of superiority sometimes it might move into, which is sad. But you may encounter also voices of fear from other people. It may be also your own voice of fear, of self-doubt, a voice that says, you, my friend, should have been further along by now. What are you doing? Everyone else has figured things out except for you. Or you have missed a chance. You've missed the boat. I worked with someone the other day who said, oh, I feel like I'm too old to manifest whatever she was working on. This is all an illusion. As long as you are in the body, you are still able to create, to manifest. So beneath all of these external or internal voices, there is another voice. And this is what I want you to tap into. This is the quieter voice. This is the deeper voice. This is the voice of inner knowing, of your intuition that is guiding you from within. So one of the greatest challenges of spiritual life is learning to hear that voice. This is why we do practices. We do practices that quiet us down so that we can become reconnected with that voice. Now, that voice is so special. It rarely compares. If it does compare, it is comparing to teach you something, to say, oh, look what so-and-so is doing. This might be advantageous for you. The voice rarely panics. Isn't this a relief? The voice rarely rushes. Instead, it gently guides you one step at a time. I always say it whispers to you. It taps you on the shoulder. It points you in the direction of your own beautiful and magical unfolding. And I would say when we begin to really hear and listen to this deeper wisdom, something incredible starts to happen. First of all, you stop measuring your life against everyone else's life, everyone else's timeline, and you begin trusting your own. You stop forcing things. You just begin allowing your projects, your dreams, your goals to start to unfold. You also stop living in fear and you start living according to inner guidance. And it doesn't mean that life suddenly becomes so incredibly easy and there are no more challenges, but it does mean that we stop wasting, because really this is such a waste of our energy, so much time fighting where you are. We stopped draining ourselves with that kind of unproductive and just unproductive and debilitating movement. So if you have been feeling behind lately, I want to invite you to consider the possibility that you are not behind, that you have never been behind, and that you will never be behind. You are exactly where you need to be in your beautiful life. And something important is developing beneath the surface of everything. When you can quiet down, you can hear what is developing. You can perceive what is developing. And then, of course, you can act upon that. So all the delays, all the detours, all the unexpected turns have served a purpose. You know, when we chant I was just thinking this, when we chant to Ganesh, Ganesh is the remover of obstacles. So we say, oh, I want to accomplish this thing over here. And in order to get from point A to point B, let's clear the way. Let's clear the path. But so we do this particular chanting because this is Ganesh's specialty. But also it is said that Ganesh also sometimes, and you can substitute for the word Ganesh, you can say the universe, God, the divine, puts in your path obstacles, puts little roadblocks, puts little stones that you have to walk around. So if you think about a stream and the water in a stream, you think of it meandering, that beautiful flow of the water, it is not going straight and rushing. It is going over twigs and rocks and little things that are in the way, and yet it is so beautiful to look at. We see it meandering and moving, and we marvel at that. So if your life were to move from point A to point B in a straight line, I want to propose that it would be rather boring. We need all the twigs and the rocks and the stones and the little things that are in the way. We need all these things to challenge us. So the delays, the detours, and the unexpected twists and turns have served a purpose. They make life very meaningful, very beautiful, very interesting, very magical, and they enable us to be able to look back and say, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, it's a good thing I followed my intuition there. Look at the lessons that I learned. Look at the experiences that I have had. So we move into a space of gratitude, appreciating every obstacle, every argument, every twist and turn, every problem. And I'm thinking of another analogy here. I'm going to chant something, and this chant is not to say, may I be free of all obstacles. This is a chant to Lord Shiva, because it is nearly impossible. No, let me revoke that. It is impossible to have no obstacles in your life. So even when we're chanting to Ganesh and we're asking to remove obstacles, we know there are going to be obstacles. We are not saying, make my life devoid of all obstacles forever, because this is an impossible request. What is possible is the way you react to the obstacles and the acceptance of all obstacles as being perfect and complete. It's a way of standing outside of the obstacles and not even viewing them as an obstacle, not even attaching any negative connotation. So the chant, so that's a little bit about working with Ganesh energies. And so the chant that I thought of to Lord Shiva is a chant that I do every day. And it asks that we have the strength, or we be given the strength to move through all obstacles with such grace and ease, just like the translation is just like when a cucumber is ripe from the vine, it simply just falls into your hand. You're not struggling with it. You're not yanking it. You're not fighting with it, pulling it. So this chant is an acknowledgement of the obstacles and the problems, but a prayer to the divine. Let these obstacles and problems in my life occur with such ease, just like when a piece of fruit is so ripe, it just falls off of the vine. So I'm going to chant it here, and because I mentioned it, and also because through the listening, it is said that when a mantra falls upon your ears, you derive benefit. So I might say to you in this moment to please think of some obstacles that you are envisioning in your life, and and maybe even some that you have not come into your awareness yet, but to allow these sounds to encourage the energies to just move through your life so effortlessly, just like that stream is moving over rocks and twigs and not getting bothered. The stream just is. It's just going. It's just encountering whatever it does and moving along its way. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Whatever is happening in your life, if it appears to be a problem, an ending, an obstacle, remember it is preparing you for a beginning. Lord Shiva also reminds us that there is a dance of life. There is the beginning, the middle, the end. So as that stream is moving, it is going over, it is encountering a rock, and that is one perspective, but it is also preparing the stream for the movement down into the next incarnation of that stream, wherever it's going. And the stream is just going. So your challenge is to keep going in life, to really give up this notion that you are behind and know that you are perfectly perfect where you are. If this episode resonated with you and you'd like to stay connected, I invite you to visit the website and join the email list where I share insights, wisdom, and information about classes, events, and gatherings, or just reach out to me if you need any support and I can help in any way. Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Om Sai Ram. Jai Guruji. Om Amrite Shwariye Namaha. Hare Krishna. Om Namah Shivaya.